The old janitor had cleaned the company's hallways. For nearly 25 years, most employees never learned his name. That morning, a broken coffee mug changed everything. The operations director pointed at the shattered pieces, then shouted across the lobby, "You're fired." The words echoed through the building. Employees stopped walking. Some stared, others quietly smiled, relieved it wasn't them. The elderly janitor didn't argue. He simply picked up the last pieces of broken glass, placed them carefully into the trash, removed his faded employee badge, and thanked the security guard on his way out. Not a single complaint, not a single angry word, just quiet dignity. 20 minutes later, a line of black luxury vehicles stopped outside the company's headquarters. "The new CEO has arrived." Executives hurried toward the entrance. None of them noticed. The elderly janitor was still standing across the street, watching the building one last time. They believed they had just fired an old employee. They had no idea their biggest mistake had only just begun. Sometimes, the person everyone overlooks is the one person they should never underestimate. The lobby slowly returned to normal. Employees picked up their conversations as if nothing had happened. Only one person looked satisfied. Operations Director Richard Coleman. For months, he had searched for a reason to dismiss the elderly janitor. Today, he finally had one. "Replace him before lunch," Richard ordered. "The new CEO doesn't need to see outdated employees." No one questioned the decision. No one mentioned that the broken coffee mug hadn't slipped from the janitor's hands. A young intern had accidentally bumped into him, then quietly disappeared into the crowd. Outside the building, the elderly janitor folded his worn maintenance gloves, placed them inside his old toolbox, and sat alone on a wooden bench across the street. He didn't call anyone. He didn't beg for his job. He simply looked at the company headquarters with a quiet smile that no one could understand. Across the street, a black luxury sedan stopped beside him. The rear door opened. A sharply dressed chauffeur stepped out. Instead of speaking, he respectfully opened the back door. Waiting. The elderly janitor gently shook his head. "Not yet." The chauffeur nodded, closed the door, and drove away. From the office windows, a receptionist noticed everything. Her expression slowly changed. Who was important enough to send a luxury car? For a janitor? The company believed it had just dismissed its least important employee, but someone outside was still waiting for his instructions. Inside the boardroom, executives prepared to welcome the new CEO. Richard Coleman straightened his tie. This company is finally entering a new era. No one noticed. The receptionist quietly stepped inside. "Sir, there's something unusual." Richard frowned. "What is it?" "The chauffeur who arrived a few minutes ago. He wasn't looking for the new CEO. He was asking about the janitor." The room fell silent. Richard laughed. "A chauffeur? For a janitor?" Before anyone could answer, the head of security entered. His face had turned pale. "Mr. Coleman, the new CEO has changed the arrival schedule. He's not coming through the front entrance." Richard's smile faded. "Then where is he?" The guard looked toward the lobby windows. "He's outside, talking to someone." Every executive rushed to the glass, across the street. The elderly janitor was still sitting quietly on the bench, and someone in a tailored black suit was walking directly toward him. The executives thought the meeting was about to begin. They never imagined the first person the new CEO wanted to meet was the man they had just fired. The boardroom emptied. Executives hurried toward the lobby, expecting to greet the new CEO. Instead, they stopped in disbelief. Outside the building, A young man in an elegant navy suit stood before the elderly janitor. Without saying a word, he bowed his head. The janitor smiled gently. "You've arrived. Right on time." Richard Coleman frowned. "Who is that?" No one answered. The young man removed a small leather folder and handed it to the janitor. The janitor didn't even look inside. He simply returned it. "Not yet. There's something more important." The young man nodded respectfully. Across the lobby, the receptionist whispered, "Why is he asking the janitor for permission?" Richard's confidence began to fade. This wasn't how powerful executives behaved. This wasn't how a CEO greeted an ordinary employee. Then the young man turned and slowly walked toward the company's entrance. Security immediately opened every door. The room fell completely silent. The answer everyone expected never came. Instead, a much bigger question appeared. Who was really leading whom? The executives believed they were about to meet their new CEO. They weren't prepared for the first words he would say. The young man entered the lobby. Every executive stood. Richard Coleman stepped forward. "Welcome, Mr. Carter." The young man didn't respond. He walked past every handshake, every smile, every prepared speech. His eyes searched the room. Then he asked one question. "Where is Mr. Samuel Brooks?" Silence. Richard forced a smile. There must be some confusion. "Our janitor was dismissed this morning." The young man's expression hardened. "You dismissed him?" Richard nodded confidently. He was only a janitor. For the first time, the young CEO looked directly into Richard's eyes. "No. He was the reason I accepted this position." The room froze. Richard's smile disappeared. The CEO turned towards the head of security. "Please bring Mr. Brooks back." No board meeting, no introductions, no business. Until he walks through those doors. No one moved. No one argued. The power inside the room had shifted. With a single decision, the executives finally understood. They had fired the wrong man, but they still didn't know why he mattered so much. Minutes later, Samuel Brooks returned. He carried the same worn toolbox and wore the same blue janitor's uniform. The room was silent. The young CEO walked toward him. Then, in front of every executive, he extended his hand. "Mr. Brooks." "Thank you." Richard Coleman stared in disbelief. The CEO turned to the board. 25 years ago, when this company nearly collapsed, one employee refused to leave. While everyone protected their careers, he protected the people. The room grew still. He wasn't cleaning floors. He was protecting the culture this company was built on. The CEO looked at Samuel. "My father taught leadership. You taught humanity." Samuel smiled quietly. "Never forget. A company is remembered by how it treats the people no one notices." No applause followed, only silence, the kind that changes people. Then the CEO reached for one document, the document that would decide Richard Coleman's future. The young CEO picked up the document. He looked at Richard Coleman. "My father built this company. Before he passed away, he left me one instruction. If Samuel Brooks ever walks away, you'll know the company has forgotten who it is." The room fell silent. The CEO placed the document on the table. "Richard Coleman, your employment ends today." No shouting, no humiliation, just one signature. Richard lowered his head. For the first time, he understood the cost of judging someone's value by a uniform. The CEO turned toward Samuel. "Would you do me one favor?" Samuel smiled. "Take care of the people, and they'll take care of the company." With that, he quietly picked up his old toolbox, walked toward the exit, and left the building with the same quiet dignity he had carried for 25 years. The company had lost a janitor, but it had rediscovered its values. Sometimes, the most important person in the room is the one nobody notices. Respect should never be earned by a title. It should be given because of character. If this story stayed with you until the end, please leave a like, subscribe to Revenge Diary, and answer this question in the comments. Would you have apologized to Samuel or stayed silent? Until the next story, remember, the strongest legacy isn't built by power. It's built by the people who quietly protect it.